Delta Airlines is now asking the federal government to step in and do something about unruly airline passengers. Now, this has been a problem during the pandemic. Individuals who don't want to wear masks become unruly, sometimes incredibly violent on flights. It is a situation that needs to be dealt with. However, what they're asking for here is for the federal government to put unruly passengers on no-fly lists. I don't agree with that. I'll tell you why in a minute, but first the details. So, in a letter to US Attorney General Merrick Garland on Thursday, the Atlanta-based companies, this is Delta, Chief Executive Edward Bastian said such a list would reduce the number of future incidents involving disruptive passengers. It also would serve as a strong symbol of the consequences of not complying with crew member instructions, he wrote. Now, when you think of the no-fly list, you should think about what was implemented during the Bush administration in regard to anyone who might be suspected of being a terrorist. The no-fly list has had a lot of problems, including random private citizens being placed on it. They don't know why they were placed on it. It is a disaster if you're trying to get off the no-fly list. But the no-fly list is exactly what it sounds like. You're not allowed to board a flight and fly anywhere. And that's what they're asking for when it comes to unruly passengers on these flights. Now, Delta recently submitted more than 900 names to the TSA so that it could pursue civil penalties, the CEO of Delta said. While such cases represent a small fraction of overall flights, the rate of incidents with unruly passengers on Delta has increased nearly 100% since 2019, he wrote. We fully support using the full force of the law in these cases. Now, Delta alone has put 1,900 people on its no-fly list for refusing to comply with masking requirements. So I worry about this, and I know people don't like slippery slope arguments. I'm gonna make a slippery slope argument. Who gets to be the arbiter of who gets placed on that no-fly list? What are the specific standards in place? I'm worried that the standards will loosen up a little too much to include people who might be a pain in the butt, right? And we certainly see people get combative at airports or on flights because, let's keep it real. Sometimes traveling is difficult, sometimes it sucks. Maybe you're anxiety ridden, maybe you're stressed out. I'm not making excuses for violent behavior, but I remember what it was like to fly, and I remember how easily you can get under a flight attendant's skin or upset a TSA agent, anything. Like you're terrified while you're going through security at the airport because anything could be considered an offense. So I think that what the federal government has already done is pretty significant. The US Department of Transportation's Federal Aviation Administration has proposed another 531,554 in civil penalties against individuals who become unruly on flights. I mean, it'll ruin you, it'll bankrupt you. I feel like that's enough of a deterrent. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I do know. I was thinking, we were thinking of doing a poll on this and decided not to because I think the answer is very clear. Hell no. So let me explain. Look, the guys who are doing it are mainly right-wingers these days, and they're being completely unreasonable, and it's causing a giant mess. Should they have criminal and civil liability? Sure, they're breaking the law. They're massively inconveniencing others. One flight from Miami to Dublin, I think, had to turn back around. And so, God, if you were on that flight, you'd be livid for a great number of reasons, including physical safety, right? So, sure, do whatever you're gonna do regarding that particular incident, right? But a lifetime ban, that's crazy. Then the person can't travel at all. What if you live in Kansas? You're gonna have to drive to New York, drive to LA, drive everywhere? Well, what if you have to go to Europe? What, are you gonna take a boat, take 3 months to get there? No, this is way too heavy a penalty, especially because it's not even a slippery slope. First of all, I wouldn't even do it for an assault, okay? Let alone what it's gonna devolve to. You know it, you've all seen it in airports and airplanes. Did you just talk back to me? I mean, it's in a movie, it's in anger management. You know how, and that was way before any of this stuff. Adam Sandler gets tased, etc. Sir, calm down, right? Half of us are gonna get banned from every from flying. And it over empowers people. Now, right now, those flight attendants, the pilots, etc., need all the help they can get.
Yes.
So we're incredibly sympathetic to them. And obviously, we don't agree with the politics of the people that are largely doing this these days, right? But this is too heavy a penalty, and it gives too much power to the other side at this point.
I agree, yeah.
And by the way, any airline is a private corporation, can make any individual decision they want. Delta can ban that guy for life. That's easy, and there's nothing you can do about it, and that's capitalism, right? But for the government to say you're no longer allowed to fly anywhere that's preposterous and way too heavy a penalty.
So this was addressed by Pete Buttigieg, who didn't want to give a straight answer in regard to what the federal government would be willing to do. But I still thought this was interesting. So let's take a quick look at this interview and then we'll discuss.
Certainly, we support airlines taking steps to protect their passengers, their crews, and a number of airlines, including Delta, have done that. They've said that if you are behaving in a way that's unruly, dangerous, you can't fly on our airline anymore. It gets a little more complex when there are proposals for the government to do that. The FAA is continuing to vigorously enforce and encourage criminal referrals where appropriate for this kind of behavior. I mean, in 2022, we should not even have to say that when you're on an airplane, you need to behave in a way that is safe and appropriate.
It sounds like you think a no-fly list is really within the purview of the airlines, the private companies, not necessarily for the government to create.
Well, look, I think we need to continue to look at anything that will help keep our skies safe. What I'll say is that many of the airlines have already taken that step privately, and we should continue to look at what we can do at a policy level, knowing that there's a lot of complexity when you try to do that in a way that cuts across airlines and is developed by the government.
This is why people hate politicians. Just answer the question. No, we're not gonna do that. Individual airlines can implement their own no-fly list. We're not gonna do that because like there are issues with the federal government putting American citizens on a no-fly list based on whatever interpretation the airline has in regard to that individual's behavior. There are already methods of prosecuting people who commit assault on a plane, right? It is serious. Like the consequences are not light. And I think, as long as that prosecution is something that they follow through with, I think that serves as enough of a deterrent.
No, look,
like,
none of this it makes any sense. Okay, you had a car accident because you were negligent. That's it, we're banning you from all the highways. No, that's crazy, right? And Buttigieg, on the upside, glad to see that he hit puberty, mustache finally growing in. If you notice in that clip. On the other side, dude, just say it. Say it. You're not gonna do it. Everybody knows you're not gonna do it, and that's good. We'll even give you credit. Right wing will give you credit. Reasonable people will give you credit. Just say you're not gonna do it because it's dumb, right? Oh no, but on the other hand, we're looking into committees and to study it and blah blah blah. And okay. And now, look. I have to confess to being a little bit biased on this issue for those of you who know. I once famously got a little angry at an airport, right? And I think I was completely justified. And people are like, oh, have you apologized? No, I got that plane for everyone else to take. I was right, and I didn't get on the plane. They were wrong. It doesn't matter. It isn't about me. Right now, we don't have a no-fly list for terrorists. That to me is insane. If we think you're a terrorist, shouldn't we just arrest you as soon as you show up? Instead, we're like, no, we allow terrorists on flights. But we're not gonna let people on flights because they didn't put a mask on for the rest of their lives? No. Look, we're the fairest, most honest show in America. Agree with the right wing on this one. This is insane, let's move on. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.